Welcome to the Author's Edge radio show with Guy L. Freer. Each week on their show, they help authors create books that transform our lives and imaginations. Through radio excellence, they create a unique community resource, one that promotes, connects, and fosters a sense of well-being. They serve listeners by providing outlets for their creative skills and energies, and they help them flourish in the competitive marketplace. Their weekly show provides intros, writing spotlights, helps you in promoting your book, your writing, your publishing, your marketing tidbits, and much more. Okay, audience, here's the Author's Edge radio show with Guy L. Freer.
Welcome to Author's Edge radio show. I'm your host, Guy L. Freer, and I am excited to share thoughtful, lively conversations with writers, publishers, songwriters, illustrators, and artists as we dive deep into the art of storytelling. You can catch us live every Saturday at 8 a.m. and Sunday at 7 a.m. on KWRH FM 929 and KXOK FM 1029, or stream online at kwrh.com, kxok.com, and on the free apps, iHeartRadio, Odyssey, and TuneIn. Author's Edge also airs nationwide Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. on the My Genre Radio Network. Missed an episode? You can find us anytime on SoundCloud, YouTube, or at authorsedge.org. Now that's authorsedge.org. And welcome to Author's Edge. We have JJ Rennick, Jana, back again for us, and she's going to tell us about her newest books. Yes, yay! She's back! Yippee! She is back. And she's going to blend medicine with storytelling and murder and mystery and all that good stuff. So the pen name for for Jana rather, is JJ Rennick, and pivoting from she started out as a major in English literature. She pursued a career in obstetric nursing. A decade and 2 children later, she returned to medical school, obtained her MD from the University of Texas Southwestern Medical School in Dallas. And since retiring, JJ has penned 7 medical mystery suspense novels. Yes, she's been busy. And 8th is nearing completion, and a collection of short stories across various genres. When not pecking the keys, I like that, peck, 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 peck. Especially since roosters, and never mind. She enjoys reading, traveling, gardening, and keeping an eye on current events, and attending writers' conferences whenever possible. She now makes her home with her husband, minus any wild pets, in the Show Me State, where she writes full time. And it's so nice to have you back, Jenna.
Thank you. Thank you.
But before we talk about books a little bit, I'd like to start from a little bit about the beginnings to refresh everyone's memories. You are originally from Missouri?
No. Born in Iowa, grew up in Kansas, and found our way across the state line into the border state.
The border state. And how did that happen?
My husband accepted a position in Springfield in pulmonary and critical care, and I tagged along.
Okay, you tagged along.
Yes.
Oh, he didn't drag you kicking and screaming?
Well, sort of at first.
Yes. I know about the dragging, kicking, and screaming.
Yes.
You began in English literature?
Yes.
And what first pulled you towards stories and language?
Oh, gosh, that's gone way back. I mean, I think when I was growing up and used to spend time in a library, checking out books back in those days. And we'd cart them home. And had a library card and all that. And I liked mysteries. And I also ended up in high school and college enjoying courses in titles such as Major British Writers. So I was influenced by some of the classical British writers and thought I would enjoy or love teaching English literature at the college level. But I took up a job one summer in a hospital as a lowly X-ray escort. And I became fascinated with the hospital work and the atmosphere and all of the dilemmas and, the situations you find there. And so I ended up going into nursing.
Yeah. Now, when you look at your work now, Do you see echoes of that earlier love of literature in your writing?
Gosh, I don't know. Yes, maybe. I know my editors had to correct a couple of my more British constructed sentences where you place adverbs or not, and some of the expressions, and even some spellings that. And so I found
G-R-E-Y
yes,
as opposed to G-R-A-Y.
Correct. And how you spell judgment, things like this that are a little different. And so I've had to relearn
some things,
change some things. So that's an influence, but otherwise I can't identify a major influence.
So then you retired from medicine,
right?
And what specialty were you in?
Internal medicine.
Internal.
Yeah.
And exactly what is internal?
Well, it's I guess you could say it's a specialty, but it encompasses adult care.
Okay.
Basically from 18 years of age on. Classically, some internists such as myself saw teenage patients. So, but we don't do obstetrics and we don't do peds, strictly speaking, or surgery. We're not involved in surgery. It's internal medicine, management
so it's more like
of
a
disease.
GP?
Well, it used to be referred to way back when.
When we were
way back when.
Way back when.
Well, family medicine actually came out of the GP
okay.
arena originally. It's not that way now, of course, but internal medicine was always considered the diagnosticians back in the old days. And now a lot of doctors are lumped in together, family medicine and internal medicine as primary care doctors. So we see a broad range of people, and that does inform your writing, disease processes across a broad spectrum, and human behavior, and how that all interacts.
What surprised you most about the transition from a medical career to a writing full-time?
Gosh. Actually, there's a lot of similarity that more than differences. You have to be a self-starter.
Right.
You have to be disciplined.
Right.
You have to you have to participate in a good bit of delayed gratification, such as when you're going through medical training, medical school and residency. There's a lot of period of very hard work, long hours, and delayed gratification. And it's very similar in writing, whether you're traditionally published or indie published. And so there's more similarities than differences.
The big difference, I would think, would be that you spend a lot of time alone.
Well, yes. And those of us who've come out of medicine can miss that human interaction. That is, if you see patients in person. But anyway, you can, as opposed to some aspects of telemedicine, but at any rate, that's stretching it a bit, based on one of the books I wrote. But anyway,
that was the first one. I remember that one.
Seen and unseen. But anyway, yes, you miss the human contact, and you can feel quite isolated.
Yeah, I would think so.
But going to writers' meetings, conferences, interacting with other writers and readers, helps overcome that a good bit.
What finally gave you permission to say, I am a writer now?
Let's see, I think probably after I finished my second book. The first book I wrote, which hasn't been released yet, you're always kind of seeing if you can do it and sort of getting your feet underneath you and practicing and then learning that there's a lot of work that has to be done on that first book. By the time you finished your second book, and some people say your third, you've sort of established your voice and you feel like it's for real, like you really can produce more than one book.
So actually the producing of more than one book?
Yes.
That's when you say to yourself, I am a writer.
I can do that. I mean,
I can do this.
I am doing this. And then if you truly like expressing yourself in the written word, then it just kind of catches on and you sort of can't stop. You feel like you must write, even if it's not producing a lot of revenue. It's
Yeah.
you feel that
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
truly are. Maybe that's what defines a writer.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The need to, as
The need
opposed
to do
to,
it.
yeah.
And you find yourself, I think, coming up with more ideas, more books that you think
Yeah.
need expression.
Yeah. Yeah, we've walked through the literature and the medicine, and now those two worlds meet in your fiction.
Yes.
Okay. So
Mhm.
let's talk about the kind of stories you tell and how you define your place in the suspense world. We've talked before about your medicine conspiracy. How do you see that fitting or not fitting under the broader umbrella of medical suspense?
Well, when we talk about medical suspense, most people think of laboratory errors, superbugs, pandemics, those kinds of things. And that's all well and good, and that can undergird a plot. But I like to draw in the forces outside of medical practice or medicine as we see it. Big government, big pharma, insurance industry, and how that can help you create suspense and conspiracy beyond unusual diagnoses and things like that we often think of when.
For example,
well, the problem in seen and unseen of overuse and broader adoption of telemedicine, but with a big government, big tech conspiracy behind pushing that. So I'm not saying that has occurred, but I constructed and made up a conspiracy based on those kinds of outside factors impinging on medicine. And so that type of thing. Payoff was about extender practices using nurse practitioners and physicians' assistants exclusively and without oversight of physicians. And that was an issue that was very hot at the time and may still be when I was constructing that plot and thinking of those characters.
Using them instead of using a doctor and having no oversight from a doctor.
Correct. That was the underlying theme that came to the fore in Payoff. And that was the first book I published. And so I see these themes across the landscape of medicine that are fodder for conspiracy theories or suspense plots. And how does that affect the characters? What kind of characters get involved in those things that happen to function within medicine, doctors and nurses? And how do they experience or interact with those, what should I say, themes that run through medical practice?
Right.
That our culture and our society is dealing with currently and has been for a while.
Yeah. What is it about suspense that keeps calling you back to the page?
As opposed to like literary fiction or
historical fiction.
Historical. Some of this has become history now. No, I just think it's intellectually engaging for people to read about a suspense. It's similar. It's not quite a mystery, not quite a whodunit, but in the same fashion, it intellectually engages me. I've always enjoyed reading it, and now I find that I enjoy trying to construct it and write it. Yeah.
Right. So the current events are a nudge for some of the ideas that you bring to the story territory.
Interestingly, I found that what goes around comes around. So I'll have an idea for a factor in one of these books, and it shows up in the news.
Oh my!
As being still talked about, debated, worked on. It sort of is the other way around. The news doesn't always give me ideas, but reinforces the ideas that I'm interested in working on or already have worked on. That may sound kind of odd. Does life imitate art or art imitate
life?
Right.
Yeah. And kind of like
it's a little of both, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I do think so. So when a new project begins, does it usually start with what if?
Yes, or I feel, I think this is true of a lot of writers, you feel prodded by a subject or a idea you get. And then you see if it has any legs and you try to imagine, do I have a plot trajectory? Will this go anywhere? And then what kind of people would be involved in this? What type of men and women and professionals and lay people would be involved in this situation, and then you develop it. It's not just plot driven, and it's not just or theme driven. It's not just character driven.
Right. We're going to do a radio station identifier. You're listening to Author's Edge on KXOK FM 1029 and KWRH FM 92.9. And I'm Gael Freer. And today I am talking with Jana Trumbold, writing as J.J. Rennick, author of the medical suspense novels Proscription and Adverse Events, where medicine, morality, and danger collide. You like that?
Yes, collide.
Collide. How do you build the tension without relying solely on dramatical medical moments?
Well, I think that has to do with character development.
Mm-hmm.
People like to read about people. People like to see how people deal with situations, tight spots, and how they flub up and make mistakes and get sucked in deeper, either through their own foibles or external forces, outside forces. So you pace it based on the not putting superfluous scenes in and not bogging your narrative down and your pace down with unnecessary that we all have to take out of our narratives. So you keep the pace going, and you keep working on character development as you go and revealing more and more about character. And I think that keeps readers hooked in, and then you have to carry them. You have to carry them with your plot trajectory, and pacing is essential in suspense.
Now, you also, so the pacing is rhythmic?
Oh gosh, that's
knowing when to push forward, when to pause.
Yes, you have to give readers a little breather, so you don't just go from one dramatic, for instance, medical suspense, one dramatic medical moment to another.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the way it really happens. And so, in order for people to feel like this is real, it has to have an authentic. I don't want to say stop, start, but
smooth.
Well, or it's almost like the EKG tracing. You have to have a depolarization and then a quiet period when it repolarizes. And that feels normal to readers, I think.
Okay.
So you have to give readers a little breathing room between dramatic scenes, but you also have to know when to ratchet up the tension and the pace. And
how do you make that determination?
Well, boy, that's hard to answer. When you're in the flow of the story, you can feel it coming.
Uh-huh.
And I think that's where, if you have a background, you kind of know how things ratchet up and pace themselves, and you try to write that accurately and bring the patient into the scene.
So you use your medical background, you're being a doctor as way for that?
Yeah. And you try through setting also, and not just an internal dialogue or that near. I use third person point of view, and usually try to write in near point of view, not omniscient. Try to bring the reader alongside, so they're feeling like they're witnessing this. And then you write in a more clipped tone when you're trying to ratchet up the pace and the action. That's
so all right, so you take from the medical, you take from your own experience. How about the patient side?
Well, I have alternate points of view in my usually 3 to 5 point of view characters, and so one scene, one chapter may be devoted to the patient's viewpoint, if that's if that's part of the narrative. In my latest book that's not finished yet, I do switch back and forth. And there's an unfortunate young woman who has a dreadful diagnosis, and you do see her point of view and her process of getting the diagnosis and moving through the initial treatment phase. And so that.
And do you include the family members as far as points of view? I mean,
if it's appropriate.
And does that help build the suspense? Does that incorporate that?
It can. I have not done that as much in my books. My main point of view character is usually the medical professional who's struggling with whatever theme we're writing about, whether it be a nurse or a doctor. And I'm just trying to quickly think back. I don't have as many family. They may have family members, the professionals who are affected by what's going on. And that has occurred in a couple of them, but not so much the patient's family members. Now, in this last not published book, the patient, this unfortunate young woman, and her father happens to be a surgeon. He's a secondary character. And he in his past took care of patients like this. So he's in the scene too, and how it's affecting him as now a father of a grown child and who's experiencing a bad diagnosis. So I haven't finished that one yet, but that's really the only time that I think I've drawn a family member in for close point of view.
Right. Okay.
Anyway. That's something for me to think about.
Yeah, because family is also highly affected by a good, bad, or indifferent diagnosis of a patient.
And we've all been there.
And we have all been there.
Family members.
as family members, absolutely.
Yes.
So have your protagonists ever been on the wrong?
Oh, yes. They haven't been the villain, but in this last book, Proscription, I'm not sure which one I'm pointing at now. Anyway,
this one is Proscription.
The protagonist is a nephrologist, but there's almost a co-protagonist who is the antagonist, fellow colleague, internal medicine doctor, and she pulls him in to her dilemma, her problem with end-of-life issues, working in a long-term acute care hospital. And so they both compromise each other. I mean, they're flawed.
They're flawed.
Yes.
And
there's not this hero and villain. And he finally comes out on top, but she gets her act together eventually too. They compromise each other and they struggle with the conspiracy that's in Proscription. So yeah, they're not pure. None of my characters are pure, and they harbor all kinds of bad notions.
Oh, okay. Well,
So they're real, are they?
They're real.
They're real. They're not perfect.
Yeah, and I think when we create villains that are just pure villains, they're actually not that interesting to readers. They're too
I agree.
flat, and people who antagonists have their own agenda. They have their own reasons,
Right.
that they're proceeding the way they are, and they feel correct or right or justified or even vindicated in the end, but they've wreaked all kinds of havoc usually in the meantime and compromised the protagonist or pointed out his or her flaws. So I think that's what engages people is character development that seems like real people.
Yeah. Well, we're going to go to a radio show break in a moment. But before we get there, authors, artists, creative entrepreneurs want your book or project in front of a literary audience that's already listening. Authors Edge Radio Show is welcoming new advisors, advertisers, across KXOK 1029 FM, KWRH 929 FM, plus nationwide on the My Genre Radio Network. Our listeners are readers, they're writers, and they care about stories. Ready to reach them? Call 573-714-1352. When you're ready to take that book from idea to finished product, Blue Rooster Publishing works one-on-one with authors to create books that connect, inspire, and endure. Visit blueroosterorg.com or email Gael Freer at outlook.com. That's Gael, Gaelle, Freer, Freer, at outlook.com. Missouri Writers. If you're in Missouri now, consider joining the Missouri Writers Guild, supporting authors since 1915. Learn more at MissouriWritersGuild.org. And we are going to go to station break. Bada boom, bada bang.
El Potro Restaurant and Market, located at 6920 Manchester Avenue, 1 block east of McCausland, offers the finest variety of Mexican and Central American groceries and goods. El Potro Restaurant serves authentic Mexican and Central American cuisine, including daily specials, not to mention the best horchata and tastiest margaritas in St. Louis. Open 7 days a week. El Potro, 6920 Manchester Avenue, 1 block east of McCausland.
The United States has a strong tradition of welcoming newcomers and refugees. The Welcome Corps is a new service opportunity for Americans inspired to welcome those seeking freedom and safety and in turn help strengthen their own communities. Welcome Corps is a public-private partnership that is inspired by what Americans represent to so many around the world, a beacon of hope and refuge. All it takes is a helping hand. Are you ready to learn more? Contact the International Institute of St. Louis at info@iistl.org or call 314-773-9090. That's info@iistl.org or call 314-773-9090. In 1857, the Dred Scott decision was a major legal event and catalyst that contributed to the Civil War. The decision declared that Dred Scott could not be free because he was not a citizen. The 14th Amendment, also called the Dred Scott Amendment, granted citizenship to all born or naturalized here in our country and was intended to overturn the U.S. Supreme Court decision on July 9, 1868. The Dred Scott Heritage Foundation is requesting a commemorative stamp to be issued from the U.S. Postal Service to recognize and remember the heritage of this amendment by issuing a stamp with the likeness of the man Dred Scott. But we need your support and the support of thousands of people who would like to see this happen. To achieve this goal, we ask you to download, sign, and share the one-page petition with others. To find the petition, please go to dredscottlives.org and click on the Dred Scott Petition Drive on the right side of the page.
And we're back. We're talking to JJ Rennick, Jana Trumbold, and we're going to talk about her quote from her new book, Proscription. We were talking before about how she gets to her books and how she gets to her ideas. But this one comes from Proscription. The moment the garage door began its slow climb, her car tires came into view, like two unexpected legs hiding behind a curtain where they weren't supposed to be. She was home, and his opportunity to spruce up had vanished. I'm almost wondering what's going on. This moment grows out of something very ordinary, yet it's filled with unease. What draws you to those quiet, unsettling disruptions?
Well, this is from Proscription, and this is after, this is what, chapter 13? Yes.
Chapter 13, page 66.
Yes, it's a shorter book, shorter novel, but this nephrologist, the protagonist, arrives home. After rounds, he was not expecting his wife to arrive home as soon as she did from an out-of-town work project. She's an interior designer, and he's in a very compromised position.
Oh.
And he figured he would make rounds and get home and spruce up from this situation that had sidelined, maybe whacked him, and now he's suddenly, in a very dreadful position. And I was just reminded of when children try to hide behind draperies and you see their legs sticking out or whatever,
Yeah, their feet sticking out.
The garage door came up. Here were her car tires that he could, and that was the last thing he wanted to see at that point. And
so what was he trying to spruce up from?
Well, an encounter that had compromised him, and one that he didn't seek.
Oh,
it was a Well,
Was it a girlfriend?
It's a spoiler.
Oh, it's a spoiler. Oh, darn.
It's part of the building suspense. It's part of the his involvement in trying to help a colleague.
And he went too far.
And things got,
A little heated.
Now I'm giving away too much. Got
A
out
little
of
heated?
hand.
You're making it
So,
interesting. Titillating.
It's not
Titillating.
Just, it's not just about long-term acute care and end of life and resuscitative efforts and
Tell
all
me.
these moral dilemmas that actually a lot of us face, particularly with aging parents or family members. And it's this antagonist figure, his colleague, who draws him in to, who basically seduces him into helping her. And he's a good guy and whatever, but she's a conniver, she's a manipulator, and
he bought into it.
And he fell for it.
Hook, line, and sinker.
But see, now I'm giving away too much. But it's a little more interesting than that. It sounds
Hook, line,
rather
and sinker. I like that.
Hook, line, and stethoscope.
it's
Hook, line, and
it
sinker. I like
sounds
that.
rather typical. I don't think my readers have said it's not typical, and they really enjoyed the struggle between these two characters, that the characters really seemed alive and real. So
good.
that's all I can report.
But when we feel the character's anxiety before anything actually happens, how important is internal reaction for you when shaping the suspense?
You mean, what do I feel at the time? Oh, yeah. I mean, you feel their dread, their anxiety, not because you've experienced it, but you just know, I guess if you're far enough along in life, you just know
the dread
that people feel.
When you know you've done something wrong.
And you've
major wrong.
And
not
you're
little wrong, but
afraid
major wrong. And you're afraid of getting caught.
Yeah. And we all feel that from when we're 7 years old to when we're 77 years old.
Guilt is a horrible thing.
But it's very good.
It's very good, but it's
And shame shapes behavior, doesn't it?
Oh, it certainly does.
Or it can.
Okay, without giving anything away, what does this moment signal in the larger arc of the story?
It's a turning point, and I think, and there is negative fallout that he experiences from this, and he has to try to get things back on track. And so the rest of the conspiracy becomes more evident after that, and the rest of the and then the rest of the plot trajectory takes off in a little more, the pace is faster and a little.
Yeah, because this is like there's a sense of control. It's like just slipping away quietly, as opposed to a big unravel.
Correct.
Okay.
The scenes that follow this, he and his wife unravel a bit. I mean, it's not a good thing.
Right.
And he definitely knows he's in deeper than he thought he was in. And this involves Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. This involves insurance billing. This involves the FBI even gets involved in what's going on a corporate level. So this is.
But it's like a slow unraveling. It's not like an explosive
the first part
unraveling.
of the book is it builds up, and now it's the tension escalates a bit after that. And he has to extract himself once and for all. And so anyway, and that also brings out one of these other quotes that I offered up about, was he repeating his father's behaviors and patterns?
Oh, it's something like the apple doesn't fall far from the tree?
Yes, and there's a personal, there are recollections and a personal family situation he can't suppress any longer and has to come to terms with. So that comes out after this. Now I've given too much away.
Not necessarily. No, because there's no specifics here. You haven't given us specifics,
right,
but otherwise,
true.
You've given us enough that we were going to want to read what really happens.
Right,
So.
Coming to face with himself. And
that's about, you have in all literature, you have your different themes. You have man
Right.
versus man. You have man versus society. You have man versus internal. So
Right. Right.
that's what you've got here. You've got man versus internal.
Right. Particularly in this section of the book, but then there's a macro and a micro. There's a man versus society, and
Mhm.
or the expectation society would put on him as a professional.
Especially as
Yeah.
a doctor.
Right. Yeah.
There's even a higher expectation with a doctor than you would have with
Maybe
perhaps
not anymore. But
well, that's true too. There's that question.
there is that persona. Yeah.
Yeah,
that-
there is that question there.
Yes. Yeah.
As to
Yeah.
what, yeah. So let's also talk a little bit about, let's see, wanted to get back to something else that I had written. Writers love labels. All right. So are you a plotter, a pantser, or somewhere in between as a writer?
I was accused of being a plotter for many years by my pantster colleagues. And what's come out of it is I think more of us are what we call plansters. We plan and we often write. I think I've referred to it as a discovery writer. But anyway, plotters, pure plotters, are very much driven to structuring and outlining this is in terms of writing a novel, their plot trajectory, the pacing, and all of that. And
Right.
sometimes the characters almost seem secondary.
Right.
And then there's the pantster idea that's character driven, but they can get, if they're a pure pantster, they can get off on all kinds of side roads and have a hard time staying on track with their plot. Can seem to wander. I
Right.
should say that. So I see it more as constructing a roadmap, knowing where you're heading, seeing if your plot has a trajectory and progress. But again, the plot is character driven because you can't make people do what, if you have
doesn't fit.
well-developed characters, what they won't do or what goes against their personality, their sense of integrity, or otherwise you have people going off the deep end, which can happen. But so a combination of both.
So do you make character charts?
I sketch them out and I think of their bio and their
Mhm.
background. And so I do that kind of character development. And then as I write, more and more features of them come out. And
Do you
they
write,
become like real people
Yeah.
to me.
do you write physical character sketches?
Sometimes, but not just in general.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Like tall, dark, handsome. Do you do any of that?
Yeah, there's a few characters that, you start thinking that way about them, but then you develop more their personality and their
Mhm.
value system. And so their physical appearance becomes less
less
important.
important.
I don't think I've ever told a reader exactly how tall somebody is. Like if there's a relationship between a man and a woman, and he's taller, I indicate that she's staring at his coat labels,
Mhm.
lapels, excuse me, not label,
Yeah,
lapels. That just gives you a sense of
Right.
how much taller he might be than
Right.
she is. And I don't describe weight,
Yeah.
other than if a portly law enforcement officer stops someone, and I'll indicate
Yeah.
such about their physique. But
Because that does help with characterization.
it does. I don't start out with a big,
Mhm.
completely fluffed out or
Developed.
well written
Yeah.
physical description. of
What about
them.
place? Do you do that with place?
Yes, sometimes I tend to write about places I've been or am familiar with or know about, but that's actually quite a few cities. And so that's, I like to draw people into the immediate setting,
Uh-huh.
how the room looks, how the room's lit, any unusual sounds or smells or anything, particularly in hospitals and clinic settings.
You know those well, I take it.
Those awful fluorescent lights we all dislike,
yes.
So they can be drawn in
Right.
and feel where they are more than the broader city. that this, like Atlanta or Dallas. I try to bring it down to one neighborhood you might have a scene in, or the characters might interact, within which the characters might interact.
Do you see the landscape or the setting as a character in your stories, or is it just like a backdrop?
You mean like Downton Abbey and Highclere?
Is
a character?
Is as a, like, does the background support your characters? Or do they create a character in of themselves?
Sometimes. I'm trying to think of an example right off the bat. The characters feel comfortable within that setting, or they hail from that setting. And so it's part of their natural environment in which they're having these interactions or challenges or dramas or whatever.
Right.
But strictly speaking, no, I wouldn't say I've done that yet. I'll have to think about that.
Yeah. Because sometimes, sometimes with like a mystery writer, the background is a character in of itself.
Right.
Like a murder mystery or something like that. The background, like if it's in, I don't know, if it's Nashville at 1930s, is
correct.
Like that would be a character in of itself. But I don't know if that would work with one of yours, or if you even thought about that as part of your storyline.
Well, I draw weather in a lot of times because it affects people's perceptions, the experience. Is this at night or during the day? And what other factors impinge on them from the environment. So I guess you can say in that way the backdrop in the setting is acting on the characters. Right. I mean, I do that.
Now, with your medical background, how much research do you still do going into your book?
Not a lot, actually, because I'm not emphasizing necessarily. I want to be current, and I have retired, 10 years ago now. So a lot has changed in terms of medications and interventions, but I'm not emphasizing the specifics of that.
Right.
As
not a medical book.
As the general flow and how this situation impacts the characters. So I like to stay away from too many medical details, just real technical things, because medicine's becoming increasingly technologically driven, and therapies do change now at a faster pace than they did, say, in 1950 or 60.
Yeah.
So I don't want to saturate the reader with a lot of technical medical details. More, in one of my books, it was this diagnosis should have been addressed this way, or the patient seen in person versus telemedicine because something critical was missed through the telemedicine visit. That was the whole point of that book, sort of. Anyway, not really. I shouldn't have said. If you saturate the reader with a bunch of medical detail, it's boring. A lot of it's very dry, and they'll either quibble with which path you took, or they'll stop reading.
Right.
Is my concern. And so it's more about how the diagnoses or the handling of it, or what's the underlying conspiracy that's impacting them, rather than
the medical aspect.
Did I answer your question?
Yes, you did.
Okay.
Absolutely. Are there moments when you consciously simplify details just to keep the story flowing?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. That takes care of that. How do you recognize when a scene has reached the right level of tension?
I don't know the answer. You feel it yourself. You can't take anymore. No, you feel it, and you feel like that's enough.
Right.
I guess it's just instinct or into, and then I have other people read it when everything's all put together to tell me if the pacing's on, and if that needed more,
Mm-hmm.
does this need more or less, to pack the punch.
What part
That
of
you-
writing challenges you the most?
Oh gosh. What's another way to ask that? How
How about tell me what's the best part of writing?
I think writing that rough draft and getting the story out.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's very rough. I mean, and then I really enjoy all parts of it. I enjoy developing the idea and seeing if I have some place to go with this idea I had.
Mm-hmm.
Can I develop it? Then I enjoy writing the rough draft. And then the different experience of I always look forward to going back for my first read through and my first, Xing things out. I think, and this is becoming more enjoyable, but writing cover copy, condensing down the major themes to write the back cover or
Mhm.
inside jacket cover, and coming up with the log lines, the tag lines, the marketing
Mm-hmm.
angle to it. That was very hard at first. That is challenging. But now that I've forced myself to do it, and I don't use AI to do it, maybe I should, but I don't.
That's
And
a
so-
personal thing.
It's like writing the shortest flash fiction you've
Yeah.
written.
Yeah.
And so I would say experience with writing flash fiction, period, in my writing groups with the short stories we manufacture, that has helped me tremendously and taught me how to condense into a couple of paragraphs for a cover copy that you see on the back of
On
the
the
book,
back,
trying
yeah.
to entice readers to pick your book up and buy it. That's the most challenging,
Yeah.
and it still is.
Yeah. It's easy to be just to write it and write it and
Right.
write it, but to take it and condense it down, I would think would be very difficult.
Into a sales pitch, basically.
Into a
That
sales
is-
pitch. Yeah.
I don't think.
What do you leave out?
Yes.
That's always the thing I think
Yes.
of. You keep thinking about this, well, this is really important, and that's really important, and that's really important. So what do I leave out?
Right.
Yes.
And you don't want to spoil the story.
Right. And you don't
Looking
want
for
to
the essence.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I find that I hone and hone and hone those and trim down the word count, because that's important. Does it fit
Yeah.
comfortably on the inside cover, jacket cover, or on the back of the book? And it's got to.
Yeah.
And you don't want to give away the punchline.
No. So are you independent or
Yes.
traditional? You're independent.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay. And so that means that you're on Amazon.
Yes.
Now, do you independent through Amazon, or do you do are you hybrid, or
No, I mean,
how do you,
no, I haven't gone with traditional publishing
right.
yet. This is more by choice.
Mhm.
I have control over time and so forth, and which projects I work on. So, yeah, my books are primarily published through Amazon. I haven't gone yet what they call wide,
Right.
Barnes and Noble and all of that sort of other distribution
Right.
network. So, at any rate, remind me of the essence of your question again.
Oh, that's a good question. I'm not sure. I was
So-
concentrating.
Yes,
I
meant-
was concentrating on what you were saying. Okay, so
Yes.
independent, right? Independent or
Yes.
traditional?
So we do it all ourselves,
Yes. Okay.
or we hire
Mhm.
professionals who format and who do cover design
Mhm,
and so forth,
Right.
and who run our website for us, and who,
Yeah.
take care of all those
Other things
Yes, yeah.
that drive you crazy.
Man,
Okay, so
yes.
from first draft to finished book, what does that timeline usually look like for you?
To finish meaning to publish.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You can write a 60,000 or so word book in a month. So I follow a pattern of Jano, or January novel writing thing, that one of our writers groups
Yes.
stages every year in January. Get the rough draft done, or most of it, And then I have a professional editor I submit it to after I've gone through it several times. So let's see, we're talking 2 months. And then if I published all my books the year I wrote them, which I have not done, it would be about, and kept a really rapid pace with, it could be about 2 full-length novels a year for me. Some people write them faster and publish them faster than that.
I think two full-length novels a year is pretty darn good.
But what I've done is, and some of these are less than 80,000 words, 75 or 80,000 words. Some are in
More.
that range.
Yeah.
Those take longer, of course.
Right.
And more editing services and that type of thing. I actually pursued a different course, though, and wrote quite a few of these and then started the publishing process. So I've been at this a total of 10 plus years already, and have 7, not quite 8 books finished, have 7 edited, written, ready to go, needing formatting and final touches.
Okay.
So I don't march through it. I haven't so far in the standard sort of write a book, publish it, write a book, publish it.
See, now all right, so we've talked about your craft and whatnot, but you also offer medical editing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What made you feel the call to support other writers in that way?
I thought it was a good idea.
What exactly tell us what medical editing is.
Editing, it goes from a simple question someone might ask
Mm-hmm.
to sitting down and looking at their whole manuscript,
Mm-hmm.
which I've done with one of my fellow writers, to just someone saying, let me run something past you, and showing me a passage and asking me if that sounded like it would be plausible. So it's basically, you like people to get it right. And if they're going to include medical scenes, because you'll read a lot of badly written medical scenes that really change the trajectory of the story. So it's not boring to get it right, in other words. And they could just ask for consultation,
Yeah.
and then you can say, well, you could do this, you could do that. And
Yeah, you wouldn't want to put a Band-Aid on a sucking chest wound, I guess. That
Yeah.
wouldn't, that doesn't
No,
sound
that
right.
doesn't work.
There are a lot of bad scenes in television and movies that, oh my gosh, where was their medical editor?
Well, it's kind of like when my
Consultant.
father was a policeman. Okay.
Oh,
So
yes.
whenever he would watch cop shows, he was always saying, it doesn't happen like that. It doesn't happen like that. They don't do that. So yeah. So it's the same thing.
Right.
As an indie author, what challenges caught you off guard early on?
I think, and I expected, the time management issue or work-life balance. This can take over,
Mm-hmm.
and you can
Oh, it can.
ignore people in your family unit, your friend circle, everything. So that time management and learning the business of it.
Oh, the
Yes.
learning curve is humongous. Absolutely humongous. That's
And
what
no
I
matter
got when I
what you're
started it.
writing
But it's
producing.
It's wonderful,
Mhm.
though.
Oh, it's wonderful. It was, but it's still
It's
huge.
big, yeah.
Yes.
It's really huge. For writers considering the indie path, what do you most want them to understand going in?
Study the industry, learn what publishing's about. If they're seeking traditional, how to get an agent, how to hold an agent, find good editors, this type of thing, and how the industry looks at our product. And don't chase trends. You can't write to the trends. Once you realize one's here, it's already
gone.
half past.
Yeah.
At least. Learn the industry, get informed, associate with other writers, learn from them, contribute to those writing groups. And that also involves going to conferences and meeting other people and learning from outside experts who are brought in to teach. It's a lifelong learning process.
Oh,
it's
absolutely.
It's not a sprint, it's a marathon.
Yes,
So-
yeah, absolutely. Now you brought several books with you. So this is
Yes.
prescription. Now this is your
The one published in October.
in
Yeah.
October. And then you brought this one, Adverse
Right.
Events. And
Right.
this one is recently published.
Well, that's the one that was published in April
in
of
April
25.
of 25.
Correct. And
Okay.
Seen and Unseen was
Okay.
published in 24, and then Payoff was published first.
Payoff.
It was published in June of 24.
Okay. So,
So these two are 24, the other two are 25.
okay.
And then
you're
I was
working on-
I'm launching my series in 26, which involves a female doctor protagonist and her dilemma with healthcare reform.
Okay.
And what all,
And that's going to be a
She-
series?
that's a series. And it's the Seek to Silence series. And Dr. Jill Anders is the protagonist. And then there's lots of interesting things that happen to and with her.
Okay.
And so that's coming this year, probably the first two books in that series. I have 3 written, and this 4th one I'm in that series I'm working on.
So it's going to have 4 books in the series?
probably 5.
5.
Yeah,
Okay.
addressing different issues. So anyway, she has an interesting life.
Okay. So, and she's a doctor
Complicated.
of
Internal medicine.
internal. She's,
Yeah. And
Okay.
she is not me. And
Oh,
I am
she's
not
not.
her. No,
You're sure?
I'm positive.
All
I
right.
went back and made sure of that.
Double check, did you? Looking, if you could leave writers listening today with a thought, what would you want it to be?
Persevere.
Persevere.
Be patient. Persevere. You'll usually find your place if you keep at it. Don't expect immediate
Gratification.
rewards.
Amen.
Yes. The reward is in the writing, and then beyond that, don't expect to be discovered and be a superstar
No.
right away. And I think the media contributes to that impression
Mhm.
that that's possible, but perhaps the behind the scenes story isn't known, how long it took for someone to arrive at superstardom.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
And we all know who they are.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
So, all
It
right.
can happen.
It can happen, but it's far and few between. It
Correct.
really is. I
Yeah.
mean, we know that there have been 1 or 2 on the New York Times bestseller list that have gotten there. Although,
Not with their first book.
no, but even with, like there was a couple of them that got there. And even when I've read their books, I'm like, how did they get there? Really?
Well, a lot of it they've caught on with social media,
Right.
or social media grabbed hold of them and propelled them to
Right. So then I'm wondering,
high visibility.
then I wonder about the level of reading. Well, it's a
There you go.
whole different subject.
The readership,
Yes.
yes,
That's a whole different subject.
yes, it is.
All right. Thank you so much, Jana, for
you're
joining me
welcome.
today.
Thank you so much.
Jana Trumbull writes as J.J. Rennick, author of the medical suspense novels Proscription and Adverse Events, where medicine, morality, and danger collide. And you can use that if you want to.
Okay,
All right.
I'll write
It's-
that down.
Yes. It's always such a pleasure to talk with you and explore the stories behind the stories. Thanks for listening to Author's Edge on KXOK 1029 FM and KWRH 92.9 FM. Catch us on air each weekend. Stream on KXOK.com and KWRH.com on iHeartRadio, Odyssey, and TuneIn and nationwide on the My Genre Radio Network. Miss an episode? Find us anytime on authorsedge.org. Next time on Author's Edge, I'll be joined by Mark Sanders, author of the novels Dylan's Treasure, The Spring of Landfill Inn, and Shannon's Promise. We'll be diving into the stories, the settings, and the heart behind these compelling works. Until then, keep reading, keep writing, keep creating, and I'll see you around the inkwell. Bada boom, bada bang.